Hello friends, Famous Dana here again with another daily crochet. If you like my video, consider subscribing to my channel. And you should stick around because who knows what I'm going to be crocheting today. I wonder, today, this is an old blanket that I started. It looks more like scarf size right now, but it made it with this homespun yarn. This one is Forest and this one is Pesto, but they are a very complementary set of greens. You can see they're slightly different in color, but I made this with a chain of black and then the two different green colors, and I am loving how this looks together. I'm simply doing a V-stitch starting from the center and going all the way around, and I am super excited. And I just realized that this hook is much too small of a hook to be crocheting with, so I wonder if this is not the right size. I have a much larger one over here, but I looked at the stitches and the stitch that I just made was just so small. One of those bad things about having a work in progress that you set down for a little while and come back to is that you might not have the right size crochet hook once you get back to it. So I have to figure out how I was doing the V-stitches. So a V-stitch, for those of you who are not familiar with the term, is a double crochet stitch and then a single chain and then another double crochet stitch. And it's called a V-stitch because it looks like a V. I mean, it is, a V. And that happens. So you repeat the pattern each row. It makes a V inside the previous row's V, inside the previous row's V, inside the previous row's V. So when you're working on this particular type of pattern, it starts from the center, and you make a kind of like a ladder where you're double crocheting and then you skip a stitch and then you double crochet again in the chain all the way across. And so the V stitch would be made in every other chain space, so that you're, I don't know what the right term is for it, you're making the ladder every other stitch be a V. And this goes on for a while, obviously, to you either go all the way around in this pattern, or you stop at the end and turn and make your V-stitches back the other direction. It makes kind of an open work. Oh man, why do I always have the knots? Right when I'm getting on the video, it has to make knots in my yarn. So I always spend my time talking to you guys unknotting knots. They're just so knotty. But now here I'm just doing V-stitches, and then you don't put any spaces between the V-stitches, you just put the single chain space in the middle as you're going along, and it looks like a V. And repeating that over and over again gives a really pretty pattern, but by switching each color out each row, it gives this really pretty, almost faded kind of texture, whereas the black, it kind of fades away, but the lighter green and the darker green and more black, and repeated that around the outside, it will lay it flatter once I get more of it done, but I mean, it is really beautiful, and it seems like it's about the width of a scarf, and it would probably be a really, really pretty scarf, but it is much too long. Well, yeah, I actually think it is much too long for a scarf, but I'm gonna get more done on this and make it into a blanket so that it will look amazing on the couch, or it'll look amazing on someone's lap when it's cold outside. And we will see just exactly how wide we make it, because this is obviously the length, because wow, my arms are, you know, it's longer than both of my arms, and that means it's going to be a really long blanket. And now I know I could repeat the same pattern and then hook them together into a blanket, and that would probably be a lot more time involved. And I mean, I love this look is amazing. It's beautiful to me, and green's my favorite color, so getting something like this accomplished and finished, it'd be wonderful to share with everybody, because this is just, I don't know, like I said, I'm partial to green. It's really pretty to make, and I have that feeling like I want to wear green. Like, I want to be around things that are green. I want to take care of the green in the world. I moved up here. Even though it's rainy up here, it is a lot greener than where I used to live. And I love that. I love seeing grass growing easily in the yard. I love seeing the beauty in the trees, and this reminds me very much of the green. Obviously it's green. The green landscape of the outdoors. And I like the outdoors, don't get me wrong. I may be a house elf, but I still like the outdoors. I like gardening, and I like the landscape and the pretty flowers. It's a wonderful time to plant seeds, something, and then watch it and go, oh, they're getting bigger, they're growing. It's just like crocheting. You work on it a little bit, you're planting your seeds, you work on it a little bit more, they're growing. The blanket that I have neglected for such a long time is now growing again. It's like the outside landscape. Granted, you know, you may have to weed a little bit or do some mowing on some grass so that it looks right, but you know, you wouldn't necessarily want to do that on a blanket. Anyway, this yarn is kind of difficult to work with because there's all these extra little fibers that stick out from the strands, and it can get easily tied up in other things, and that can be difficult sometimes to work with. When crocheting, I accidentally grab other stitches really quick and really easily without meaning to, and sometimes I have to go back and I have to pay attention to what's going on and rework the stitches that I'm in. And sometimes if you stitch in the wrong place, the yarn will tighten up when it's not supposed to, and it's one of those things you have to be flexible for. You have to be flexible in your crocheting to get the right, what's the right term? Tension. You have to have the right tension, and there's sometimes you pull just a little bit weird on a thread and the tension is not as the same, and it'll get tighter and you're like, okay, what did I do? I may have hooked another little section. Oh my goodness, all the knots. You may have hooked another little section of yarn from this little threads that are sticking out and getting tied up with other parts, and yay, I came undone. So sometimes you have to just be watchful and careful and make sure that your tension and things are consistent, but they don't have to be perfect. I mean, it's what makes the blanket unique, what makes it interesting is the little imperfections that are in it. And as a crocheter, you're probably the only one that's gonna know that it's imperfect, that it's unique, because I have done so many things that I've looked at and gone, oh my gosh, I missed a stitch way back here at the very beginning of my project. And I've had other people look at those projects and they're like, what are you talking about? What do you mean you missed a stitch? This is beautiful. There's one thing to be a crochet person, to be an artist, to think it needs to be perfect and just find all the little spots where it doesn't look right. And then there's another thing to just sit back and enjoy the beauty of what is there. On the outside, you can look at my yard and think, oh my gosh, it is so chaotic. There are trees and rocks and all kinds of different flowers everywhere. But then you sit back and you look at it and go, wow, it's very green. It's very pretty. There are things growing. It doesn't look like a dead desert environment. It looks like things live there. It looks beautiful. Alright, so I'm done with my comparison of crochet and at the outdoors. And I have this super big ball and knot right here that I'm not going to make you watch me try to fix this knot. But I will come back to this project when I get it further along and show you how I was doing and how far I've gotten and what it should look like when it is a little more completed, a little more done. And I'm sure you'll enjoy seeing it. Have a great day.